Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining me here on Lace Up, where we every Tuesday evening at 7 get together, put on our boots and lace up so we can keep on walking through the joys and struggles of life together. We have a great community of people that we pray for one another and lift each other up as we're walking through the joys and the struggles. Well, I want to share with you something that happened to me about 25 or so years ago, something I'm not proud of, but I'm very thankful for in the long run. Had an experience that I can remember like it was yesterday. Have you ever had those? I know you have those. When an experience is so impactful to your life that you can't forget it. You remember where you were. You remember the surroundings, the situations you were in. That has an impact on your life. And this situation really did. At that time, well, throughout my walk with the Lord, I've had a beautiful relationship with Him. I've been able to enter His presence and just feel Him so near me, hear His voice so clearly. I've been able through the years to grow in that, of course, and hone certain skills in hearing His voice, but never did I feel Him just not be there. I was always aware that He was there. Hey, Carolyn, was always aware that He was there. He was with me. I could sing a little bit, or I could pray a little bit, or I could be in study. I would just feel His presence. I would just feel Him there. And I would talk to Him in my car. I love to talk to the Lord in my car, still do. Just talk to Him and just feel. There were times I would just feel Him sitting in the seat next to me. Well, we know that He never leaves us. He never forsakes us. So He was with me. But I mean, I could feel His presence most of the time. Then the day came that I felt nothing. I could not feel His presence. This went on day after day after day. I would try to sing, I would pray, I would try to worship. And I felt like the heavens were brass. I mean, I've had that experience several times in my life, but for different reasons, but this just seemed to come out of nowhere. I could not feel His presence. I would tell Him, I know You're here, I know You've not left me, but I feel so distant from You. What is going on? Because I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know. And I cried out to Him and I said, God, I remember the road I was on, the overpass I was on, when I cried out to Him and I said, Father, I feel like You're rejecting me. I feel like You're rejecting me. And as clearly as the honking of a horn, I heard in my spirit. I tell you, He talks very clearly when we tune in and we learn to hear His voice. And I did. I heard Him in my spirit. That's exactly how your sister felt Sunday. Immediately, and much to my shame, immediately I felt I was there again. I remembered it. There was a group of us ladies who, after service was over, we were standing around talking. There's four of us, and we had formed kind of a semicircle as we talked. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I caught this other lady walking up. Now, she didn't see me see her. I caught it out of the corner of my eye. But I shifted and turned to where I kind of filled the gap there, kind of closed our group in. Very ashamed of that, but I kind of closed our group in because, see, this lady was real awkward. She was real abrasive, and she was just not the kind of person that was easy to have conversations with. And we were involved in something, and she was going to walk up and get right in the middle of it. I knew she was. But that did not excuse my behavior. That did not excuse it. And when the Lord showed me how she received it, that she did know I had seen her, and she did know that I was shunning her. I was blocking her out of our little group. Oh, it broke my heart when I realized that. Y'all, rejection is a painful thing, even on something as simple as that. Rejection is painful. And I had been the one who did it. Oh, I repented. God gave me a heart for her. God gave me some understanding of why she was as she was. God gave me over the coming weeks some insight into her life. But that day, that moment, it just broke my heart that I had let my father down that way, that I had let down my Christian presence. Because the Bible tells us very clearly in John 13 that they'll know we're Christians by our love for one another. And I had not shown love. I had rejected her. The Lord showed me that the cause for her being so awkward and so weird and so socially just kind of not, she didn't fit in. A lot of that had to do with rejection in her life, because you see, when we're rejected, that creates a bruise. When there's rejection in your life, be it big or little, when she was younger, she had experienced a lot of rejection in her life, and that created bruises in her life, that created damage in her life. And a lot of times you'll see that people who have gone through a lot of rejection in their life, some of them become bitter. Some of them become bitter. And they, you know what bitterness does. I mean, it causes the person to be abrasive and obnoxious sometimes, and put up walls. You're not going to hurt me again. You know, bitter people, they just create more rejection. Awkward people, it creates an awkwardness. They create more rejection. It's a vicious cycle. Sometimes they turn into the needy kind. They just cling, cling, cling. They smother you when they become your friend, when you accept them a little bit, because they're so needy of love instead of that rejection. Sometimes they become people pleasers. They can never say no. All of these things actually just perpetuate the problem, because they're not balanced. They're not balanced. So the rejection keeps on reproducing itself, right? That bruise, you have to remember. I was kicked by a horse when I was in my 20s, I guess. Yeah, I was in my late 20s. I was kicked by a horse, and in the leg, and a huge bruise, bad bruise, and it healed in a matter of weeks, maybe a month. But for years after that, when something would come near hitting that leg in that area, I would jump and guard and protect that area, because I had been bruised there. See, that's how rejection does. It causes a bruise that continues to have an effect on us much after that situation is gone. Well, I don't want to lead you wrong and say that we became besties. We didn't. We didn't become best buddies and start hanging out and doing all the stuff. But we just were different people. We weren't cut out of the same piece of cloth. But I learned a valuable lesson in accepting people as they are, loving them, and seeing them through the eyes of the Lord rather than my own little perception. See, the last thing I want ever is to feel God's Spirit pull away from me. That breaks my heart. Psalm 51:11 says, David is crying out to God, and he's saying, do not take your presence from me. Do not remove your Spirit from me. See, that's a horrible, horrible feeling. I never want to experience that. Now, boundaries are okay. It's okay to set boundaries at times. You don't have to always embrace everybody fully, as far as, just come one, come all, Boundaries are okay. But kindness is always to rule, because we will be known by our love one for another. Think about the different people that you could reject in your life. You say, oh, I'm loving to everybody. Well, what about the the guy at the store that's all tatted up everywhere and pierced all over the place, guy or gal. That's different. I used to have an issue with women, especially pretty women, who would dress certain ways, who had a certain air about them. I thought they were after my fella. They were after my man. I was jealous. I was insecure. I don't know what got them there. I don't know what life that young person lived that got them all tatted up and pierced up and looking different than me. I don't know what stage in life these women are in. But you know what I found? Those women that I would embrace and I would welcome and I would love, no matter how they conducted themselves elsewhere, they were so respectful of me and my family and my relationship with my husband. See, you never know about people just by the surface, so be very, very careful. What about the homeless guy or woman? Dirty and unable to be clean. I saw a thing on Facebook where a woman was given a hotel room for a month to get herself back on her feet. And you know what she cried about? She cried about being able to take a shower. She didn't want to be dirty. Here's a big one. What about people who disagree with you politically? What about people who disagree with you politically? You know, I have a family member who is quite adamant about her views politically. And we have had to agree to just not go there. Find what you can agree on and visit there. Stay there. Camp out there. Don't focus on the things that are your differences. Find the things that you can agree on. But walk in love. And I've had to say at times, you know what? We're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about, and I guide this conversation a different way. Or I'm just not going to get into that with you, okay? Let's not go there. Let's not go there. We have to be careful of how we treat people. How will they know? How will people learn? How will people grow? How will people change if we just shove them away when they disagree with us? The Word tells us, how will they know if no one tells them? How will they know unless they're shown what the Christian walk is like? We need to walk it out, y'all. Well, I told you that I would tell you about one of the ministry opportunities that took place while I was on vacation. This actually happened after we got home. A man picked us up. He was our Uber driver. Late in the night, we'd had delay after delay, and we ended up having a 3-hour delay between flights, and everything that I see now was a setup so that this would be our Uber driver. This man, for some reason, I was placed in the front seat beside him. The whole rest of the gang was in the back, the seats behind us. Well, I naturally struck up a conversation with him. Come to find out, sweetest man, just so sweet and kind. And we visited a good bit. He was actually in Dallas looking for work. He has an engineer's degree, and he was there looking for work. And Ubering to make ends meet. This was at 1:30 in the morning. He was out. He said he just felt like he had to take one more call that night. Well, we talked, found out about his job situation, and I asked his name. His name was Mohammed. He's from the Sudan. And I asked him, about his job situation. His family's in Virginia waiting to come meet him in Dallas. And I said, well, Mohammed, I'm going to be praying for you. And he said, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. A little bit later, I said, Mohammed, what is your faith? He said, I am Muslim. And I said, well, I'm going to pray for you in the name of Jesus. And he said, and I will pray for you in the name of Muhammad, in the name of Allah. I said, fair enough, fair enough. Y'all, it's okay. That's okay. He can pray for me in whatever name he wants to pray for me in. I know the name that has power and the name that has eternal significance. Eternal. The King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So I know in my heart, I have prayed for that man and prayed for that man and prayed for that man since then. I know in my knower that I will meet that man again. Oh, he whipped out pictures of his kids, and he was, even after this conversation, and he pulled out, he wanted to show us pictures. He said, please call for me next time. I hope I see you again. I wanted to shout and say, brother, I will see you again, because I'm going to see you in glory, because you're going to run face to face with Jesus. You're going to run right up into him. But I could have rejected him, because he doesn't believe the way I believe. How will they know unless they're shown? What an honor, what an exciting thing it is to me to have been able to shake that man's hand, make contact with him, and know that someday I'll see that man in glory. I know it because God placed us together at that moment. So, maybe you've done some rejecting in the past. Maybe you've been a victim of rejection. I know people who have been brutally damaged by rejection. And it still rules their lives today, and that's so sad. Those scars are so deep and so heavy. Yes, Brother Cleveland, that was a Kairos moment. Absolutely. Absolutely it was. Brother Cleveland, appreciate you putting that on there. Hey, y'all. Rejection can hurt and leads to fear of failure. Absolutely. That was me. My experience with rejection was that I soybeaned it. I took it all in, and I became very unable to say no. I became very needy. I became very clingy in some ways and shoved people away in other ways. I would tell people, once you get to know me, you won't like me. Because I was just so sure they'd find some reason to reject me. I was very, very young then. Thank God now. Y'all would like me because I like me. I know Jesus likes me. And he's fixed a lot of stuff in this old gal, let me tell you. He's fixed a lot of stuff. But anyway, if you've been one that has rejected someone, pray about how you're to mend that. Pray about what you're to do. And if nothing else, just don't do it again. Be kind, even if you have to set a boundary and say, no, I don't think that's going to happen. But I just want you to know that I love you. And all is well. Maybe you feel rejected by God. Maybe you are going through that period of time, or that, or you're experiencing that feeling of being rejected by God. Let me tell you, you're not. He loves you with an everlasting love, a love that cannot even be compared to love on this earth. He may feel distant. Ask him if there's something you can do to change that. Ask him if there's some break in fellowship that you've caused. And if it is, fix it. If that's not the cause, if he doesn't speak to you those certain things, maybe it's just the enemy speaking lies and trying to block your fellowship with the Lord. Whatever the case may be, rejection is wicked. It's not of God. God does not reject. He welcomes. He so loved the world. Every political view, every custom, every religion, he so loved the world that he gave his very best so that they would come to him. He wants all of us to be walking in harmony. There's a song that my stepdad used to sing back when I first met him under the gospel tent. He would sing this song, and it ministered to my heart because I was such a victim of rejection. And it goes like this. I am loved, you are loved, I can risk loving you. We are free to love each other, we are loved. I absorbed that into my being. I can risk loving because I'm loved. Y'all, be careful. Be careful where rejection is concerned. It can happen so easily. And if you're a victim of it, oh, run back to him and ask him to show you how to be healed, and let him heal show him if there's anything you need to do. And if not, then you just accept the fact and grow in the fact that you are loved. You are loved. You're not rejected. We're free to love each other because we are loved. Y'all can reach out to me here. You can message me. You can reach me at kellylace@yahoo.com, and also over on YouTube at Lace Up with Kelly Lace 5425. Y'all, let's stay connected. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff. Put up the little hearts, all the junk, so that helps, all the stuff. So that helps it to reach out to other people. So it helps to reach more people when you do those things. So love you bunches. See you next week. In the meantime, lace up and let's keep on walking through the joys and struggles of life together. Later.